camera turns on the rain, began as a whisper, a soft patter against the windshield of the patrol car, then quickly escalated into a drumming crescendo that threatened to drown out the crackle of the radio. A thin, sickly yellow light, barely piercing the gloom, spilled from the dashboard, illuminating Sabrina's profile. Her jaw was tight, a muscle twitching near her temple. Another one, Sarah, her voice, usually bright and lilting, was a low rumble, heavy with exhaustion. Third group this month. Sprinsee Lake is becoming a black hole. I gripped the steering wheel, knuckles white. The road, already narrow and pockmarked, transformed into a slick, shimmering ribbon beneath the tires. Trees, ancient and gnarled, leaned in from both sides, their branches, heavy with rain, scraping against the roof. The air grew thick with the scent of wet earth and decaying leaves, a primal perfume that clung to the inside of the car. The dispatcher's voice, tinny and distorted, punctuated the silence between Sabrina's words. Another missing persons report, another group of campers vanished, without a trace near Sprinsee Lake. Kids too this time, Sabrina added, her gaze fixed on the endless tunnel of trees ahead. 2 families. A total of 7 people. A knot tightened in my stomach. Missing adults were one thing, but children. It stirred a different kind of dread, a cold, creeping fear that had nothing to do with the mundane dangers of the forest. This was something else. Something older. The patrol car lurched, tires spitting gravel as I navigated a particularly deep pothole. The beam of the headlights struggled to penetrate the dense foliage, creating dancing shadows that seemed to writhe and contort with malevolent intent. Sprinsee Lake had always held a certain mystique, a place whispered about in hushed tones, a local legend of a place where things simply disappeared. Now, those whispers felt like a premonition. Any leads from the previous cases? I asked, my voice sounding unnaturally calm, a thin veneer over the rising unease. Sabrina shook her head, a lock of damp hair clinging to her cheek. Nothing. Just abandoned campsites. Tents still up, food on the picnic tables, cars in the lot. Like they just walked away mid-sentence. She paused, her eyes flickering to mine. No signs of struggle. No footprints leading away. Just gone. The lack of evidence was more unsettling than any bloody crime scene. It suggested a predator so efficient, so utterly silent, that it left no trace. A chill, unrelated to the damp air, snaked its way up my spine. We reached the turnoff for the Sprinsee Lake campsite. A dilapidated sign, its paint peeling, proclaimed its name, nearly swallowed by overgrown ivy. The gravel road leading deeper into the woods was even worse, a muddy track that fought against the car's progress. I hate this place, Sabrina muttered, her hand unconsciously moving to the pistol holstered at her hip. The rain intensified, hammering against the roof with renewed fury. The trees pressed in closer, forming a dark, oppressive canopy overhead. The world outside the car became a blurry mosaic of greens and browns, a primeval landscape that felt utterly alien, even though it was just a few hours from the city. The air grew heavy, thick with the scent of damp earth and something else. Something metallic and faintly acrid, like old blood. Stay alert, I warned, though the words felt hollow even to my own ears. What were we even looking for? A person? An animal? A ghost? We finally arrived at the campsite. The rain had eased slightly, replaced by a persistent drizzle that shrouded the forest in a fine mist. The air was heavy, humid, and the metallic scent was stronger here, mingling with the earthy smell of the forest floor. A small clearing opened up, revealing a handful of abandoned tents, their canvas flapping mournfully in the damp breeze. A picnic table stood overturned, its contents scattered across the muddy ground, half-eaten sandwiches, a child's brightly colored plastic cup, a forgotten teddy bear lying face down in the mud. The scene was frozen in time, a tableau of sudden, inexplicable abandonment. "Oh God!" Sabrina whispered, her voice barely audible. Her eyes, wide and disbelieving, scanned the desolate scene. I stepped out of the car, the squelch of my boots in the mud sounding unnaturally loud in the oppressive silence. The air was thick with tension, a palpable dread that prickled my skin. My hand instinctively went to my own weapon. The cold steel, a small comfort against the vast unknown. The metallic tang in the air grew sharper, a coppery scent that made my stomach churn. It was the smell of blood. Spread out, I instructed, my voice low. Check the tents. See if anything's been left behind. We moved cautiously, our flashlights cutting through the gloom, their beams dancing across the wet leaves and glistening mud. The forest around us seemed to hold its breath, every rustle of leaves, every drip of water from the branches, amplified into a potential threat. The silence was broken only by the rhythmic drip, drip, drip of water from the trees and the distant, mournful cry of some unseen bird. I approached the largest tent, its zipper half open, revealing a dark, cavernous interior. A child's drawing, a crudely rendered stick figure family, was pinned to the fabric near the entrance, its colors faded by the elements. A shiver ran down my spine. The image, so innocent, contrasted sharply with the chilling reality of the situation. Anything. Sabrina's voice, a little too loud, broke the silence from a few yards away. Just a lot of empty space, I replied, pushing aside the tent flap. The inside was a mess, sleeping bags tossed aside, clothes strewn about, a half-empty bag of chips on a crumpled blanket. It was as if the campers had been pulled away mid-activity, leaving everything behind in their haste. As I surveyed the scene, my flashlight beam caught something glinting in the mud a few feet from the tent. I knelt, my boots sinking deeper into the soft earth, and reached for it. It was a small, silver locket, its surface tarnished with grime. I pried it open with my thumb, revealing two tiny, smiling faces, a mother and a child. My heart hammered against my ribs. This wasn't just a disappearance anymore. This was something far more sinister. Sabrina, I called out, my voice tight with urgency. I found something. Before she could respond, a sound ripped through the stillness of the forest. It wasn't human. It was a guttural snarl, a wet, tearing sound, followed by a high-pitched, piercing shriek that ended abruptly, as if a hand had clamped over the throat of its source. My blood ran cold. What was that? Sabrina's voice was a panic gasp. Stay behind me, I commanded, my hand already on my pistol, drawing it from a holster. The metal felt cold and heavy in my grip. I aimed the flashlight toward the source of the sound, my heart pounding a frantic rhythm against my ribs. The beam cut through the mist, illuminating a patch of denser undergrowth, where the metallic scent was now overpowering, a stench that made my eyes water. A rustle in the bushes. A flash of movement. Something large and dark, too fast to properly discern, darted through the trees. A low, guttural growl vibrated through the earth, a sound that seemed to come from the very bowels of the forest. It wasn't a bear or a wolf. This was something ancient, something that shouldn't exist. Did you see that? Sabrina's voice was a ragged whisper, laced with terror. Stay calm, I forced out, though my own hands trembled. Keep your light on it. The air grew heavy, thick with the scent of ozone and something else, something primal and musky, like a wild animal. The growling intensified, a chorus of low, throaty rumbles that seemed to emanate from all directions. We were surrounded. Then, through the swirling mist, I saw it. Two eyes, glowing with an eerie, phosphorescent yellow, emerged from the darkness. They were large, reptilian, unblinking. A low hiss, like steam escaping a pressure valve, filled the air. My breath hitched in my throat. The creature stepped into the flickering beam of my flashlight. It was bipedal, standing roughly 2 meters tall, its body lean and powerfully muscled. Its skin was a mottled green and brown, blending seamlessly with the surrounding foliage. Long, sinewy arms ended in 3-fingered hands, each digit tipped with a wickedly curved, obsidian black claw. Its head was narrow, reptilian, dominated by a pair of massive, yellow eyes and a mouth filled with rows of serrated teeth, gleaming wetly in the dim light. A low, rumbling growl rumbled deep in its throat, a sound that vibrated through my bones. A Utahraptor. My mind screamed the word, a word I'd only ever seen in textbooks and documentaries, a creature that should have been extinct for millions of years. Sabrina, run. I screamed, my voice raw with terror, but it was too late. Another raptor, a blur of green and brown, burst from the undergrowth behind her. Its claws, like razor-sharp daggers, raked across her back, tearing through her uniform and flesh with sickening ease. A strangled cry escaped her lips, cut short as the creature's powerful jaws clamped down on her neck. A sickening crunch echoed through the forest, followed by a fountain of crimson that stained the muddy ground. Sabrina's body, limp and lifeless, crumpled to the earth, her flashlight rolling away, its beam pointing uselessly at the sky. My blood ran cold, fear of freezing river through my veins. Sabrina, my partner, my friend, gone in an instant. The sheer speed and brutality of the attack left me paralyzed, my mind struggling to comprehend what I had just witnessed. The metallic scent in the air was now overwhelming, the coppery tang of fresh blood. The raptor that killed Sabrina turned its head, its yellow eyes locking onto mine. A low hiss, a sound of anticipation, escaped its throat. It took a step forward, its powerful legs propelling it with an unnerving grace. Its head tilted, as if assessing me, a predator sizing up its prey. I broke free from my paralysis, my training kicking in. Survival. That was the only thought. I raised my pistol, my hands shaking uncontrollably, and fired. The shot cracked through the silence, a puny pop against the vastness of the forest. The bullet struck the raptor in the shoulder, eliciting a guttural shriek of pain and rage. It stumbled back, momentarily disoriented, but then its yellow eyes narrowed, gleaming with an even greater ferocity. "Run, Sarah." A voice, distant and distorted, echoed in my mind. Sabrina's voice. I turned and ran, my boots sinking into the mud with each frantic step. The forest became a blur of green and brown, the trees a confusing labyrinth. The sounds of the raptors, their guttural growls, and the rhythmic thud of their powerful feet, pounded behind me, growing closer with terrifying speed. My lungs burned, my legs screamed in protest, but I pushed harder, fueled by a primal terror. A root, thick and gnarled, rose from the earth, tripping me. I fell, sprawling in the mud, my pistol flying from my grasp. Pain shot through my knee, a searing agony, but I ignored it, scrambling to my feet. The metallic scent was overwhelming now, and I could feel the hot, fetid breath of the raptors on my neck. I risked a glance over my shoulder. 2 of them, their bodies lean and powerful, were almost upon me, their claws extended, their jaws agape, revealing rows of razor-sharp teeth. Their yellow eyes, burning with a predatory hunger, were the last thing I saw. A searing pain, an explosion of agony, ripped through my leg as one of the raptors clamped its jaws around my thigh. Its teeth, like daggers, tore through flesh and muscle, severing bone. A scream, raw and primal, tore from my throat, a sound I barely recognized as my own. I collapsed to the ground, my body racked with convulsions, the world tilting violently. The raptor, its grip unyielding, began to shake me, like a dog with a rag doll. My head snapped back and forth, my vision blurring, the trees spinning in a dizzying kaleidoscope. Blood, warm and sticky, poured from my wound, soaking my uniform, mingling with the mud. The metallic taste filled my mouth, a bitter, coppery tang. Another raptor joined the attack, its claws raking across my chest, tearing open my uniform, exposing the flesh beneath. A gasp, a gurgling sound, escaped my lips as its claws ripped through my ribs, puncturing a lung. Air whistled out of me, replaced by a searing, suffocating pain. My body convulsed, a final, desperate struggle against the inevitable. The world began to fade, colors bleeding into a hazy gray. The sounds of the raptors, their guttural growls, and the wet tearing of flesh became muffled, distant. My vision narrowed, focusing on the yellow eyes of the raptor that held my leg, its gaze unwavering, devoid of any emotion other than hunger. It was a perfect predator, a relic from a forgotten age, and I was just another meal. My last breath hitched in my throat, a ragged, rattling sound. The metallic scent of blood filled my nostrils, the taste of it coating my tongue. The cold, damp earth pressed against my cheek, a final, chilling embrace. The rain, a gentle drizzle now, began to fall again, washing over my face, mingling with the tears that streamed from my eyes. The forest, once a place of refuge, became my tomb. The last thing I saw was the gaping maw of the raptor, its teeth poised to tear into my throat. Then, darkness. Before the camera shuts off, the camera films the Utahraptors ripping out the police women's guts and eating them.